Hello, my name is Amina and I'm your decision-making specialist. And today, here I am, is May 4th, and that means day 50, 50. The research shows that any number, especially something to do with counting of days or age or anything like that, that zero really attracts our attention and we zero in on it. No pun intended. And wow, when I got to 50, somehow it just seemed more than when it was 49. So here we are. And you may be already out there. We're just getting rumbles from our side that we may be moving into stage 1, which is just a wee bit of opening up of restaurants bringing food to the curb, and then bookstores, clothing stores, and so forth. And so just slowly opening. Going to do a lot of testing to make sure, remember that the numbers of people contagious, the numbers in the hospital, the numbers of deaths is going down and not sneaking its way back up and harming more people, because we've started opening up and we want the numbers to be fewer who are getting sick, fewer that are in the hospital, and most of all, fewer that are dying. So I'm optimistic and I'm a realist, and I'm really going to be paying attention to the numbers and the data. And I know that our governor and the people in our state are being very careful too, and I hope yours are, and I hope you personally are being careful wherever you are and at whatever stage of reopening that you're doing. And today, this weekend, I was listening to some podcasts and reading some research and looking at some marketing and economics and futures in terms of what our next phases might look like as a country, as a community, as individuals. And today, I had two choices. One choice is I could tell you what the economists are saying about your value as a person, alive or dead, or I could talk to you about Professor Danther, D-A-N-T-H-E-R, Keltner from Berkeley. And I decided Dr. Keltner won because he, for over a decade, has been researching and studying and testing and teaching and writing books about happiness, specifically about we as humans, me, you, all of us as humans, and our capacities to have empathy, our ability to be able to listen to somebody else and have an idea of how they may be feeling. And when they tell us what they're feeling, to have some sort of a sense of what they're describing and what that might be like for them based on our internal knowledge of those same kind of feelings. And It's a huge subject. It has to do with our physiology, with our health, our wellness, our thoughts, our emotional state, how we relate to people. Such a huge, huge topic. And what he specifically addressed that I want to talk to you about is that everyone, all of us, another part of us being in here together and in this pandemic together, is that each of us is going through, and we've talked about that in at least one of the videos, about, is it okay to have any kind of feelings of happiness if in our part of this in shelter we're doing well? Maybe things are chaotic, they're confusing, they're uncertain, and yet every once in a while we have a sense of well-being, of we're okay. And elsewhere, some people that you know, some that I know, some that we don't know, are not feeling that happiness and joy, and their families aren't. So who are we? I mean, are we honoring them and still being able to feel some joy of our own? And what he said is that it's a matter of time management. And I thought about what he said, and I'm going to share that with you if I have permission. And that is, he said there were three elements, three primary elements. The first is, and we've certainly talked a lot about that, and you certainly know it, and that is about social connection. And the thing is that that's individual. We've talked about, for an introvert, the social connection is one-to-one. It's perfectly fine if they're not eyes to eyes. They're not in physical closeness together. For an extrovert, wants a little more people, a little more coziness, a little more close physically. And so each of us weighs and measures how much gives us a sense of well-being and allows us to have the hormones that we need to feel warm, okay, beyond okay, to feel not only connected, to feel like we matter, like we're recognized and we're understood, and we have meaning to somebody else who has meaning to us. And so once we have at least enough, not always as much as we would like or as much as we feel that we need, just right now that we have enough, that, okay, I can live with that. And you will live with that. You will live better and longer. And the markers of your happiness will keep going up and up and up just by having that social connection that helps you feel like you have a purpose, that you're important, and that if you leave the room, the number diminishes by one at least. And the second is that we have as often as possible, a sense of awe. When I was studying about values, I remember that one of the first things that they talked about, that sometimes as we become adults, we lose or it diminishes or fades, and that is something that every child has, and that is a sense of awe and wonder. If you've ever been around a child, have seen them or watched them or even had any participation in a child's life, you will notice that first time when they see a bug or they see a leaf, or you're walking along and all of a sudden they're grabbing out because their eye has caught something. And if you stand still and watch, they will stare and examine some of those things for who knows how long. And they will get excited and they will want to show you and they'll want to talk, whether they have words for it or not. That is awe. That is a newness. That is also that their brain is firing off all kinds of activity and all kinds of hormones and all kinds of pleasure triggers. And that's what the awe is. And I imagine that you have more awe than what you notice. And that is if you step outside and you see a new flower, or if you play sports and you bat a ball or hit a golf ball, or you walk or run or anything, and all of a sudden you think, oh, yes. And it just gives this rush of pleasure to you. That is your sense of awe. Or maybe if you're one of the multitude of bread bakers these days, that you look at that loaf and you smell it and you are just transformed to another place. And you're just mesmerized, checking the texture of the bread, the crumb, the crust, the color. Or maybe you're polishing a car and you look when you remove the wax and see that first shine. That's a sense of awe. Oh, you've probably polished that car forever. And it just kind of felt like something you do. It's that moment, that second, that eyelash of a second that you look at it and suddenly for some reason it's like brand new, as if you've never seen that before in your whole life. Maybe it fades. I mean, you don't stand there staring for hours. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you do. I don't know. It's just that moment that catches your eye, like the little kid to the bug crawling on the ground or on their finger. And that is your sense of awe. And it isn't that, well, it specifically directed at this, or it's not awe, or that, or it's not awe. That awe can come from anything. Comes from hearing a new word. It could come from hearing the voice of somebody you really care about on the phone, and for some reason you just hear it a different way and you have a feeling that's just just spectacular. And maybe that awe, maybe it comes from you. Maybe it comes from you realizing an idea or realizing, oh, in the past I would have done that, and this time I did this, or I thought that. Or maybe it's drawing, or it's writing, or I have one client that is a DJ, and sometimes she will just have a gig that is just remarkable. That's her sense of awe. I have another that designs clothing, and she does it and she likes it, she appreciates it, and every once in a while she'll do a sketch and just stare at it. It's just like that sketch came from somewhere magical. And that's what the sense of awe and wonder is. Those little surprises that feel like magic. That you look around and think, wow, where'd that come from? And so just notice what slows you down, that you pay a little more attention to than you do other ordinary things. And that is your sense of awe. So, social connection, your fix of awe, and the third one sounds humongous. So hang in there with me because I'm going to make it smaller for you. And that is to be aware and reduce your stress. Oh, don't go. Come back. All right. Now this is what I'm going to tell you about that stress reduction. What if you had 1 minute, 60 seconds, no more and no less? And what if you noticed that you were stressed and you stepped back? You don't have to go for a run. You don't have to count to 500. You don't have to do any yoga. You do not have to sit with your legs crossed. You do not have to empty your mind and meditate. Just hear me out about that 60 seconds. Just exhale and find one thing that you appreciate. Doesn't matter what it is. It really doesn't. You can appreciate that you just are taking 60 seconds. It doesn't matter. The research is really starting to indicate that those gratitude moments really have an effect on my well-being and yours and all of our well-being. So that's what you can do in 60 seconds. Now, I am not saying that if you want to meditate and you want to do yoga and you want to go for a run or any of those, if you do, more power and go for it, because that will reduce the stress even more. And if that sounds like too much or you're not willing to do it right now, just take the 60 seconds. Who knows? If you wanted, you could take 2 minutes instead of 1. Not pushing. 1 minute to begin with will be terrific. 1 minute, exhale, appreciate. Another minute at some other part of the day, exhale, appreciate. That's it. That is it. And what Professor Keltner is showing and finding in his research is that the things that we need to feel happy and to pave the way for our empathy to be more available and stronger is simply what I call standing in your circle and having small bursts of feeling connected, small bursts of your sense of awe, and small bursts of your gratitude. And those small bursts are significant. They matter. So literally every second matters in a non-pressured way. So if you took 1 second to just text somebody who was just thinking about you, and another second to look around and see something that just looks brand new and helps you feel like there's still magic in the world. And 1 more second to exhale, have a moment of gratitude. 3 seconds can make a difference in your life, in your well-being, in your health. And try it. And absolutely, however many seconds you can add, or maybe you'll enjoy those and decide, I'm going to really jump into it. Whatever way you want, not to push, to just gracefully take those seconds and have a burst of something outside of yourself, outside of the uncertainty, and to feed and nourish your well-being. All right. Let me know. I hope it works for you. It works for me, and it certainly works for a lot of people that Dr. Professor has worked with, which have been thousands. He teaches a class on it, and there is a waiting list that is huge because everyone, it seems, wants to know more about happiness. And now you have the 3 steps that are going to help you move your happiness forward for your story and your legacy here and out there and everywhere around you. All right. Thanks for coming. And if you'll just take another part of a second and click subscribe, I would be delighted to have you aboard. Come back tomorrow. I'll be here and I will be looking for you on day 51. Bye for now.